Admiral Kexthor had seen 1,000 worlds fall before the might of the Zephyrian hegemony. Crystal cities reduced to ash, orbital stations crushed like paper, entire species kneeling before their technological supremacy. Yet as he stared at the primitive blue marble rotating slowly on his tactical display, something felt different. "Readings confirm, Admiral," his tactical officer reported, mandibles clicking nervously. "The inhabitants have barely achieved fusion power. Their vessels are crude metal constructs held together by what appears to be welding." Kexthor's 4 eyes narrowed. The hegemony's scouts had been watching this Earth for cycles, cataloging its primitive civilization. No energy shields, no plasma weaponry, no faster-than-light communication. Their largest vessels were laughably small, metallic boxes that burned chemical fuel to achieve orbit. "How many ships do they possess?" Kexthor asked. "Intelligence estimates perhaps 200 combat-capable vessels across their entire planet. All chemical propulsion. Kinetic weapons only." The officer paused. "Admiral, our single dreadnought outmasses their entire fleet by a factor of 10. The rest of the bridge crew chittered with amusement. This would be the easiest conquest in hegemony history. Kexthor activated the fleet-wide communication array. "All ships, prepare for pacification protocols. We'll be home before the next solar cycle." 300 pristine Zephyrian vessels moved into attack formation, their bioluminescent hulls pulsing with deadly energy. Each ship was a masterwork of biotechnology, living metal that could regenerate damage, plasma cannons that drew power from miniature stars, shields that bent space itself. "Admiral," the communications officer announced, "we're receiving a transmission from the planet. Put it through." The holographic display shimmered, revealing a human face, weathered, determined, with small blue eyes that seemed to pierce through the void. The creature wore a simple uniform marked with symbols and text. "This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the United Earth Defense Force," the human said. "You are in violation of our sovereign space. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences." The bridge erupted in clicking laughter. Kexthor found himself genuinely amused. "Primitive creature, your entire world possesses nothing that could threaten even one of our scout ships. Stand down and prepare for integration into the hegemony." Chen's expression didn't change. "Admiral Kexthor of the Zephyrian hegemony, you are speaking to representatives of a species that survived ice ages, plagues, world wars, and nuclear weapons. We didn't claw our way to the top of our food chain just to bow to oversized bugs from space. Your primitive kinetic weapons cannot—" "You're right," Chen interrupted. "Our kinetic weapons are primitive, but you made one critical error in your intelligence gathering." "And what might that be?" "You assumed we'd fight you fairly. The transmission cut out." Kexthor felt the first flutter of unease, but dismissed it. What could these primitives possibly— "Admiral!" The tactical officer's voice cracked with panic. "Detecting massive energy signatures throughout the system. They're everywhere!" The tactical display exploded with new contacts. Not ships, asteroids. Hundreds of them, accelerating at impossible speeds toward the hegemony fleet. As they drew closer, Kexthor realized they weren't natural asteroids at all. "Those are their ships," he whispered, "disguised as rocks." Each asteroid suddenly split open like a mechanical flower, revealing not one vessel but dozens. Tiny, crude-looking ships that had been hidden inside hollowed-out space rocks. The humans had turned their entire asteroid belt into a massive weapons platform. "They must have been preparing for years," the tactical officer breathed. "Decades, even." The human fleet numbered not in the hundreds, but in the thousands. Each ship was indeed primitive by hegemony standards, but they moved with a coordination that spoke of extensive training and unshakable determination. All ships, "Engage!" Kexthor commanded. The Zephyrian vessels opened fire, their plasma cannons painting space with deadly light. But the human ships didn't engage conventionally. They swarmed like insects, using their chemical thrusters to perform maneuvers that should have liquefied their crews. Groups of 10 or 20 would focus fire on a single hegemony vessel, their kinetic rounds finding gaps in bioshields that weren't designed to stop such primitive attacks. "Admiral, we're losing ships. Their weapons are somehow penetrating our defenses!" Kexthor watched in growing horror as his technologically superior vessels fell one by one. The humans were using pure physics against them. Mass times velocity equals destruction. No sophisticated technology to jam or disable, just chunks of metal moving very, very fast. How are their crews surviving those acceleration forces? Unknown. "Admiral, our bioscanners show they should be dead, but they keep fighting." What the Zephyrians didn't understand was that humans had spent millennia being shaped by a heavy gravity world, learning to endure pain, to push beyond biological limits when survival was at stake. Each human pilot was willing to risk death to defend their home. Admiral Chen's voice crackled across all frequencies. "You want to know why you're losing? You've spent so long conquering civilizations that forgot how to fight. We never forgot. We've been preparing for you since we first looked up at the stars." The hegemony's dreadnought, Kexthor's flagship, shuddered under concentrated fire from 50 human vessels. Alarms screamed as primitive bullets punched through bioarmor that had withstood plasma storms. "Admiral, recommend immediate withdrawal." Kexthor stared at the tactical display in disbelief. Half his fleet was gone, destroyed by creatures who shouldn't have been able to scratch their shields. As he watched, another dreadnought's core breached, the bioluminescent hull going dark forever. "All ships," he said quietly. "Retreat to hyperspace." The surviving Zephyrian vessels fled, leaving behind the wreckage of what had been the hegemony's most powerful armada. As they jumped away, Admiral Chen's final transmission followed them. "Tell the galaxy that Earth is under new management, and next time you want to visit, call ahead." In the aftermath, as human ships moved to secure the battlefield, Sarah Chen allowed herself a small smile. The Zephyrians had made a classic mistake. They'd confused primitive with weak humanity. Had just announced its arrival on the galactic stage, and the message was clear: underestimate humans at your own peril.